you tell the assessor, like, is there a GSA? You won't miss it because he will give it to you. You just need to choose the correct one, whatever. So there will be 3 GSAs. If he give you a motor, you choose the motor one, and hot water, heater, and heater. And then you sign accordingly. Then you can start your, risk assessment. Say, okay, based on your visual inspection, there's no eye protection is needed. If you do believe eye protection is needed, you can wear it if you want. But otherwise, most of the cases, eye protection is not needed. And then you ask if there's any critical load on site and essential services, and he will tell you no. And then you say, during my disconnection process, there may be a power interruption. Are you okay for me to proceed? And you ask for approval, he will allow you to proceed. Okay, so because this is motor, this is a slightly difference between the heaters. So when you enter the room, so after you get approval, obviously you draw the layout of the circuit breaker, the 5-pole, whatever it is, according to the physical switchboard, and then you write down the nameplate and your danger tag. Remember your name, your service address, mobile number, and date. Okay, those 4 information is the most important thing. Signature, if you remember, you can sign. If you don't, that's fine, not a big issue. Okay, so these are the things that you need to write down before you put on your glove. You don't have to do that, but it's just a recommend before you put your glove on. It's make yourself easier.
Sorry, do we need to really write on the name tag that they provided to us?
No, you don't write anything on the actual tag.
Yeah.
That you will be given a
paper.
piece of paper. Yes.
Okay.
He will tell you that don't write anything on the danger tag. Assume this is, and you only need to write down once, even though you put multiple 5 or 6. Okay.
So when we write JSA, what should we do next? Like, should we hand over to him, or?
Correct. He will ask for it.
Okay.
You won't miss it. He will ask you because this is their responsibility. After you sign, you give him, and then he get it, and then he will leave the room. Only at this point, after get your GSA, it's their responsibility to do. Okay. So now the first step is you need to check your glove. You in the glove, do that visual inspection, and then check in between the fingers and do an air blow up and hear if there's any leakage. And the same thing for the outer glove. Okay, now at this point, assume I have my glove on, okay? Assume. So for motor, the first thing you need to do is to note down the direction of the rotation of the motor. So that's the first thing you do. This is the first time you press this start button, okay? So you know down this is clockwise. Yeah, you need to write this down on your piece of paper. This is the first time, okay? Now you will need to use this device, which is the continuity tester. Remember, always battery check first. So turn it on and battery check. So the battery status is good. Can everyone see battery good? Yeah. So next thing we need to always make sure, first thing first, is to establish a good earth. So you put on 3 ohms, which is your continuity, test it between the GPIO earth and your effective earth.
Sorry, Coco, do we need to show that the meter is good to the assessor, like battery check? Do we need to show it to him?
No, like but you need to verbally say.
Okay.
The reason is before your entire okay, there will be a table outside the assessment room. The assessor will check your IR tester before your assessment. He will do the calibration for you if it's not good, because he need to make sure this is battery good. But this is your process to do it, so you don't need to hold it and show, but you need to verbally say the battery is good.
Is there a camera around?
Yeah, because the camera is on the
Okay.
how do you call ceiling?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, tester is good. So test your tester first, and then make sure you establish a good earthing. So it's about 0 ohms, correct? So that means the earthing is good. And retest your tester. Yep, so it's good. So always make sure, so in case make yourself confused, always make sure you check this GPIO earth and the effective earth. In the reconnection process, you can do this later, but in case you forgot which step you're supposed to do this, always make sure you check the earth first so that you don't confuse with yourself. So now we have confirmed that we have a good earth system. Now you need to use this voltage tester to make sure there's no live voltage on the body. So test your tester first. Okay, my tester is good. Check it for 3 points. First point, second point, third point. Retest your tester. Okay, so far we confirmed there is no voltage, no live voltage on the frame. Now we need to
Sorry, you tested on the screws, right?
Yes, screws on any metal part, conductive part. Yeah, now we need to make sure to check the earth again on the body of the motor. So test your tester first. Always remember, okay, just in case I will show you how to calibrate this IR tester. So if I hold it, can you see it's actually on 0.5 ohms?
Yep.
Instead of 0.
Yep.
But we will expect 0, correct?
Yep.
Can you help me? Just hold it? Yeah. So this is the black button here is to calibrate. Can you just keep holding? Yeah. So we can rotate it until you get 0 ohms. Now this meter is calibrated. It's not a requirement for the assessment, just to let you know. Okay, so test your tester. Good. Now we need to make sure to test it for 3 points. Point 1, roughly 0.1 ohms. Point 2, 0.1. Point 3, 0.2. So what's the maximum value for this to pass this test? 0.5. 0.5? Yeah, excellent. So the assessor will ask you, so make sure you remember the numbers. So retest my tester, that's good. Okay, so far we confirmed there's no live voltage on the motor and the earth system is all connected, all good, correct? So for motor, the next step is to make sure there is voltage on the existing terminal. If it is other applies, you need to use this voltage meter to test. But because of this is a motor, this is the second time you're gonna use this button. So it's rotating, correct? The direction doesn't matter, but it's rotating. That already confirmed there is voltage on the existing terminal. So you don't need to use this for this step. Is so far clear? Okay. Now we have confirmed there's a voltage on the existing terminal. The next step is go to the switchboard and to try to locate the correct circuit breaker for the motor. Danger tag. So make sure you place one danger tag here on the switchboard.
So this is the first time we are placing a danger tag. Before that, we are not touching that at all.
No, you can. It's not a. Actually, it's a good point. If you worry about it, you're gonna forget. What you can do, you finish your writing, you can place all danger tag once. So one here. If for the motor, there will be an additional DC isolator, like this.
Yep.
So here in this station, you don't see it. You only see the button. But in the assessment center, there's another DC isolator. So you place one here as well, and one on the motor or on the conduit. Doesn't matter. But at a later stage, this danger tag will move from here to the junction box. So you need either 5 or 6, depends on whether it has an additional DC isolator. So in this station, it doesn't have, so you only need 5. Okay, so you need to ask for approval for the power interruption again. So tell the assessor that I'm going to try, just one circuit breaker at a time. There may be a power interruption. Are you okay with that? So you get approval, so lock it out.
So again, we have to ask.
The thing is, it's not mandatory, but you know that we are trying to prepare you for 100%.
Okay.
Just those small things, yeah.
When you say not mandatory, will you lose marks if you don't ask at this stage?
You shouldn't, but if the assessor loses you for 3 marks, there's not much you can argue.
Yeah.
That's why,
Do it anyway.
Correct, yes. So in this one, I already know this must be the circuit breaker, right? Because it's 3-phase.
Yep.
And this one is the main switch. So it must be this one. I'm trying this one. lock it up.
So we have to lock first and then test. Just not switch off, come, try to
No,
start and then.
every single time you turn off a circuit breaker, you need to lock it out. So let's assume the first one you turn off is not that one, but doesn't matter, you still need to lock it out
Okay.
and then go back to the.
How many switches at the test?
It will be one single long row, maybe 6 or 7. But most of the cases, it will be the first one, sorry, the second, the physically is the second one, but it's the first one next to the main switch, most of the cases. But this one, I already know this is 3-phase, so. Okay, so now you've locked it out, okay? Now you go back to the, sorry.
About the key.
Yes, sorry, good point. I need to remove the key. And just to make sure you hung this key over your neck. Okay, now we go back to the motor room. This will be the third time you press this button, so press. Okay, so it's not rotating. You already almost certain this is a correct circuit breaker, but the assessment will ask you to test actually. So one data tag here. So now you can remove the cover. Use the voltage tester. Now this part is very important. So test your tester. Okay, so I'm checking between earth to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and earth. Now retest your tester. And try to remember test your tester again, because the next step you are going to test is inside the terminal, and this is considered as the next test. So test your tester.
Do you have to take it out fully, or can you just leave that?
Ah, you can, that's fine, doesn't matter, yeah. They are not that, yeah. So, make sure you check between earth to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Now this is the most important thing. You need to, because this is 3-phase, you need to check between phase to phase as well. Okay, so I'm checking between phase 1 to phase 2, and then phase 1 to phase 3, and then phase 2 to phase 3. And retest your tester. If you've got, in any case, you've got to check between phase 2 phases, that's a big mark. You will lose 20 marks for that. So just remember for 3-phase, you need to check between phase to phase as well. Okay? So now, so far I've confirmed this is a correct circuit breaker, and there's absolutely no voltage on this motor now, correct? So remember initially we draw the layout of the circuit breaker. At this stage you need to mark it out, whatever for the motor. And before you physically remove this cable, you need to draw the termination and mark the color as well. Remember to mark the color, because you may don't have the same color as the termination. So make sure you draw both the left and right, or top and bottom. Okay? So now you can physically remove the cable.
When you're drawing out the phases, you have to draw out both sides.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So where?
And it's going to be in what, star or delta, whatever.
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Just
Here in Australia, I believe we only use the Y connection. Delta is in US or something.
all right.
Yeah. Okay, so now we confirm there's no voltage, and now you can proceed with remove the cable, and always make sure to disconnect the earth last. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, doesn't matter. So I remove them, and then the earth as last. Now you can close the cover, and you can change this data tag from here to the new junction box that you will be placed the cable.
In the test, do we have to screw that back down?
This one?
Yeah.
Yes, you will. You will need to.
So here we're not screwing it down.
Yeah, here I'm lazy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But in the exam, it's the quarter screw, the plastic one.
Oh,
You just
okay.
need to rotate once.
all right.
From here to here, a quarter.
All right. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I put this paper. At this stage, if you want to, sorry, once you confirm there's no voltage, if you want to take off your glove, you can. Oh, it's too hard here. Assume I can't do it. But make sure in the exam you rotate all the way down, okay? Don't leave like this, because I didn't remove this cap. And then you can close the cover. And make sure you will tell the assessor that you will mechanically protect this junction box because it's floating. You will fix it, mounting it on a fixed location. Okay, so far your disconnection process is all completed. You will need to tell the assessor that I have completed the disconnection process. I will issue you a non-pre-described electrical safety certificate in the next few days. Is it clear? Anyone have any questions on the disconnection process?
So what's about the cleanup? Like what should we cleaning up the area? What are the things that he will check normally?
You will get a long table, maybe just move those devices aside. And if you want, you can move this finger tag and this one. And if there's a DC isolator, you can remove that as well. Otherwise, if you forgot, not a big issue, you can leave it there. All clear?
With the cleanup, do you have to remove everything off the bench?
No, you don't have to.
It's just got to be neat.
Yeah, yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah? Anyone have more questions?
I'll ask them shortly, but I'll give you that apparently.
Yeah. Thank you. Are you sworn?
Huh?
What's your name?
But
Both, okay. So that's the disconnection process.
One is that clean up after the disconnection.
Mm-hmm.
Is it? We don't have to clean up our meters and tools, right?
No need. Just, okay, you will have a very long table, and on the right-hand side, the GSA's, the paperwork that they put the documents on, you just maybe move those appliances to the other side of the table, and the working area you're working on is nice and neat. I never see anyone lose marks for not keeping it neat, really, but just yeah. Okay, so that's the disconnection process. Any more questions? No?
No.
All good? Okay, so now we come back and to do the reconnection. Does anyone remember what are the two things you need to do before you proceed your reconnection process?
You need to notify.
Notify, yes.
That you're gonna reconnect.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are right, but that's not the one I'm really asking.
Yeah.
Check the main breaker position, tags.
Correct, yes. So make sure you check the switchboard. Nothing is tampered or physical damage. The second thing, what's the second thing? The most important thing? Anyone remember? To check the nameplate, whether it's a like for like.
Ah.
Those are the two most important things you need to
Yep.
do before you proceed any work.
Yep.
The reason is, remember that the assessor also have the authority to ask you 4 random questions, and each question will worth 5 marks. And one of the question will be that he will ask you something like, okay, if you have a motor in your car, and you are going to a site, and can you just go ahead and replace it? So obviously your answer will be, it depends whether it's a like for like. I need to check all the ratings. If it's the same, yes you can. If it's not, you cannot.
How do we show that we have checked the nameplates? In the test. How do we let assessors know that? How do we check? We check the nameplate.
Oh, you
How do we show? Yeah.
Yeah, you remember you write down it on the
Yes.
paper? In the assessment center, If it is motor, the nameplate is just on the cover. You just do a visual, the same voltage, same current. You won't even leave the assessment room, so you know that it's the same. But
Yeah, how to demonstrate? Just
just
for
verbally
sure.
say.
And with the
Yeah.
damage to
Sorry?
when you're checking for damage, do you just say, "Oh, I'm checking for damage"?
Yeah, there's no physical damage as far as
Yeah.
you can see, nothing tampered.
Alright.
Yeah.
So when
The
we
wording doesn't matter, but they want to know that you know what you are
Yeah.
checking.
so when we come back to reconnect, we have to tell this to assessor saying that okay, there's no damage or nothing or no one has tampered that,
Correct.
and
So we
then
have to say out.
we have
You
to
have
say
to say that.
yeah,
Because
that's-
this is already 10 days later.
Yeah.
You are just pretend.
yeah.
Correct, yes.
Yes. Okay.
And you might not the same person who did the disconnection.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they just want to make sure you are really following the process in your
Yeah.
normal work situation. Okay, so I've checked that there's nothing tampered like a physical damage. It's a like for like. Now I'm proceed with my reconnection process. So first thing first, check your glove. Okay, do your inter and outer glove check. Assume now I have my glove on. Okay, so this is the part what I'm saying, what I was saying on the disconnection process. You can do the earth check later, but just make your life easier. Remember, always first to check the earth. So battery check first. Good. It's more than like a third, fourth, and then 3 ohms. Test your tester. Good, and make sure the earth is good. Yeah, I got 0 ohms. That's good. Retest your tester. So it doesn't matter reconnection or disconnection. To check the earth is always the first thing to do. And this is always the first device you will touch. Just remember, this is your device. So this will be the first device you will touch. Okay, so the next thing is, this is brand new motor. So place the danger tag first. If it wasn't removed. Okay, now the first test you need to do is an IR test. So it doesn't matter 3-phase or single phase, you always use the 500 volts and 200 mega ohms. Okay? Does anyone know why? Okay. Why I'm putting 500 volts, not 250 or 1000 volts?
Because it's greater.
It's greater than 240 volts, so it's always safer.
You need it double.
Yeah, correct. Yes, that's the double. Okay. Now, if it is single phase, what's the supply voltage?
240.
240. Yeah, 230, 240, whatever.
Yeah.
So double it will be 500 volts. So why is 3-phase I'm still using 500 volts?
Because it's still greater.
No. Okay. You will get this similar question. The reason is you are checking when you do the IR test. Which 2 terminals you are checking? Phase to earth.
First
correct?
to earth, yep.
And what's the voltage between phase to earth?
Yeah, 240.
Still 240, correct?
Yeah.
If you are testing between phase to phase, what's the voltage? 400 volts,
400.
right? So if you are checking phase to phase, then you will use 1000 volts. But you're only checking between phase to earth.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't matter single phase, 3-phase, you always use 500 volts. Is this part clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go back. So 500 volts, 200 mega ohms. Test your tester first. What's the value?
Infinity.
No?
No.
Zero.
Zero.
Yeah, 0.
If you don't watch this, I'm shorting this out. What you are expecting?
To go to 0.
Correct? Because it's a short circuit. It's a loop.
Yeah.
So you are expecting 0 mega ohms. Now it is infinite because
Yeah.
it's open circuit. Okay, I'm checking between earth to phase 1. What's the value?
Infinity.
Yeah, that's good. Phase 2?
Same.
Same.
Phase 3?
Same.
Yeah. Now we test your tester. That's good. What's the pass value? What's the minimum requirement for the IR test?
Was it?
Less than 1 mega ohm. Oh, sorry.
More than.
More than 1 mega ohm.
Correct. those two numbers that you must remember.
Yeah.
Those will come out of the 4 questions he will ask you.
Yeah.
So 0.5 ohms for the continuity, 1 meg ohms for the IR test.
So it needs to be
Greater than.
greater than
One.
0.5,
No,
No,
less
less
than.
less
than
than
0.5.
0.5 and greater than 1.
Yeah, correct. Ideally, you would expect 0 ohms, but nothing is perfect.
Yeah.
You only get some sort of value. So now it passed the IR test, correct? Now we need to check the earth continuity on this appliance itself. You don't need to check between here to the here because nothing is terminated yet. So now I'm checking earth continuity, test your tester, 0 ohms between earth to the 3 point, 0.1, 0, 0.2, 0.1, something like that, 0.3. Not here, here.
Yep.
Yeah, 0 ohms, that's good, we test your tester. Okay, that's good. So far we've confirmed this appliance passed both of the 2 tests. Let me close the cover. But if you don't, that's fine, because you are still in the same room. But when you go to the switchboard, you must leave this closed. Now we need to work on this termination cables. The reason for this test behind that is you wouldn't know if someone's changed the circuit breaker, even though you physically see it's still the same one, but maybe it's not the same circuit breaker anymore. So we need to make sure there is no line voltage on the terminal. So test your tester. Good. Between each individual one, so phase 1.
With this part, are you allowed to touch the terminals
Yes, of course.
with your gloves on?
You have to. Otherwise, how are you gonna
Right.
hold them?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you are
Because
absolutely
it's really
allowed.
hard to put
Exactly, yes.
a tester in there without holding it.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So, phase 1, nothing. Phase 2, earth. Phase 4, phase 3, nothing, okay? Now retest your tester.
Do you have to say that when you're doing it to the
Yeah,
tester? Phase
correct.
1, phase 2,
Even though
phase
you-
3.
Yeah,
Do you have to speak that aloud, or can you just test it and they can watch you?
you always need to verbally say. That's the
Oh.
whole purpose of.
So throughout the test, everything you're doing, you need to
Verbally.
speak
Correct,
to the
everything you
tester.
need to do.
Alright,
Correct.
I get you.
Even though sometimes you don't say, the assessor will keep it interactive and ask you. So now I'm checking between earth to phase 1, 2, 3. Now someone tell me, do I supposed to do more tests?
More test.
Yeah, I've checked between earth
No,
to.
not required. Between the phases,
Correct, yes. This is 3 phase, you must do between phases as well. And that's worth 20 marks. So you need to
Oh.
check between phase 1 to phase 2,
Yep.
phase 1 to phase 3, and then phase 2 to phase 3. Okay, so I got nothing. Retest your tester. That's good. So far we confirmed there's absolutely no voltage on this terminal, correct? Now we can do our reconnection process. And I made a mistake, I didn't draw the, oh no, the color match, so that's good. So, when you do the reconnection process, make sure you connect the earth first. When you do the disconnection, the earth is last. So I'm putting this back. So earth. Earth. Phase 1 to 3 doesn't matter, as long as you do earth first, and then white. Okay, so far I re-terminated all the cable. Do I supposed to do anything else before I go to the switchboard? Does anyone remember or does anyone know? Before I go to the switchboard, any more tests I need to do? No? No more tests?
Yeah, there's one more test. The is it continuity?
Yeah, correct, earth continuity.
Yeah.
So now we terminated the cable. We need to make sure the whole earthing system is connected. So 3 ohms. Test your tester. 0 ohms. That's good. GPIO to the 3 point. Point 1. Okay, it's not a, can you see? It's just that this is loose.
Yep.
Second one, let me try this one actually. Oh, it's better. Second one, third one. Yep, okay, retest your tester. That's good. If you've got to the GPI earth and the effective earth as the first step, you're supposed to do this before the 3 point. Is it clear? So if you've got to do this as the first step when you do the reconnection, you can do this now. So check this earth continuity first, 0 ohms, and then check for 3 point. 1, 2, 3. If you've got. Okay, retest your tester. Good. We confirm the earth system is all good. Now I can go to the switchboard and make sure you ask for approval again. I'm going to flick the switch back on. There may be a power interruption, because you might accidentally just bump a different circuit breaker. Okay, so put this on. Now go back to here. So now this is the third time you touch this button. So if it's a heater and a water, you need to test for line voltage to make sure there is a power supply. But this is a motor. Okay, it's still rotating clockwise as expected. That means your reconnection process is running well. Okay, so now doing your housekeeping. All danger tags must be removed at this stage. So remove everything, and then clear it out. Move this to the side. Okay, and then you can tell the assessor you finish your reconnection process. You will issue a non-prescribed electrical safety certificate in the next few days. Yeah.
All right. If the motor is running in a wrong direction, what is the next step, or what is the next procedure?
That means your termination is wrong.
Yep.
And the assessor will come to help you. That's not so if that's the case, you only lose the marks for didn't check the termination. You draw the termination and you're supposed to check to confirm. So you only lose that part of marks, 6 marks or something like that.
So if it's going the wrong way, you lose marks.
Correct,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That means
So we don't have to do the whole process again, or
no,
take
no,
it
no,
back
no,
now?
no. Yes. Is it anyone have question on the reconnection process? No? All good? All good?
Yep.
Okay, so you can start.